So you got a new pottery wheel for Christmas and you don't know what kind of clay to buy. You've been taking classes and the clay's been provided, so you don't know really much about cones, temperatures, porcelain, earthenware, stoneware, atmospheric firing, electric firing, all the things. We're gonna talk about it. Now you're off on your own journey and you're gonna do your own thing in your own home. But where do you start? What kind of clay do you need to buy? We're gonna cover it all here. My name's Georgia. I own and operate Georgia Mud Pottery, where I've been throwing pots on the wheel and working with clay for 10 years now. I want to tell you everything you need to know on a simplified basis so that you can know what kind of clay you need for your home studio. Let's talk about it.
Oh, I need to breathe.
So the first thing you need to decide is what you're going to be doing with your clay, whether you're working on the wheel, you're hand building, slab building, things like that, or you're making small sculptures or large sculptures or whatever. Clay is specified by its purpose, its plasticity, and its durability. So, for example, wheel throwing clay goes under a ton of pressure, lots of stretching and growing, and it has to be strong even when it's thin. And hand building clay is made for lots of structure, can hold a lot of weight, and can just be added to itself without having to fully connect and wedge and score and all of that stuff. And both of those clays are great. They're just for two different purposes. So for our purposes, we're talking about wheel throwing. I want you to stay under that umbrella, and that means you need a wheel throwing body that's high plasticity. And you can see that in the description of a lot of clays when you look to buy online. Once you've decided that, you also need to know what kind of kiln do you have access to. Whether you're going to be firing in a community kiln or you have your own, this really matters because different bodies of clay can be fired to different temperatures. As a side note, if you don't have a kiln and you want to be firing in a community kiln, I found this really great website. This is not sponsored. I just actually found this. Nothing is sponsored. It's all sponsored by me. This website's called Kiln Share, and it's kind of like Airbnb or something for your clay. So you can go fire your clay in someone else's kiln. But it's important that you know what temperature you're going to be firing to with what kiln so that you can know what kind of clay to buy. When you go shopping for clay, you're going to see something that says cone, and it's everywhere. It's after every name of every clay, typically. And that's really important. To save you a lot of the details, pyrometric cones have been used for ages in measuring the kiln temperature without having electric pyrometers like we have today. So a lot of our clays are still, or all of our clays are still designated by cone temperatures. This is a pyrometric cone, and they are designed to melt at specific temperatures and shut the kiln off automatically. Nowadays, our electric kilns shut themselves off because of computers, but we still designate our clays by cone. There are three main ranges of temperature. So you have low fire, mid fire, high fire. These clays are all made for different purposes. They can all be thrown on the wheel, they can all be hand-built, sculpture, whatever. But within this, they have different functions. Low fire is typically called earthenware. These pots are porous and they're made especially for plants so that the pot itself actually absorbs the moisture, protecting your roots from root rot and overwatering. Mid-fire is stoneware. This is the clay most commonly used. Most public studios now that are offering community firings typically tend to be firing in electric kilns to that mid-range temperature. So when you go shopping, make sure you double check with whoever you're firing with, but most people are firing to the mid-range temperature. Anything that you can eat off of or drink out of, those are typically mid-range. You can also do high fire for that. So high fire is these really fun. It's atmospheric firing most of the time. This is cone 8 to 10. It's really fun to work with, but it's really hard to have access to. A lot of people don't have high fire kilns. It's more expensive and it's less beginner friendly. At the end of the day, most places are firing mid-range, and they have a really wide range of color and texture and function for clay. So when you go shopping, when you're looking online, most places sell their clay in 25-pound bags or 50-pound boxes. This can be really heavy, obviously, really expensive with shipping. So if you can find somewhere local, a local clay distributor is the best place to be. It's actually so fun to get to know the people in your community that are working with clay, because I bet they're cool. Here in Memphis, I use a place called Summer Avenue Art and Clay. I use their clay. They have so many different types, colors, textures of clay, and it's mostly Laguna. That's a brand. So I love Laguna products. Their glazes and their clays are amazing. Wide variety of things to choose from. And most important thing to do once you get your clay is test it. Worst thing you can do is throw 50 pounds worth of pots without testing and not know things like what rate this clay is going to shrink at, what kind of glaze looks good on this clay, because really when you're selecting different colors and textures of clay, your glaze, the same glaze is going to look different on each one of those clays as a base. So it's really good to test all those things and make sure that you're always looking in cone 5 to 7 range if that's what your kiln provider is requesting. At Georgia Mud, we do a kiln rental space situation. If you have taken pottery classes at Georgia Mud, you're so welcome to fire your stuff with me. I do require things like a receipt of that type of clay, and if you're using your own glaze, those things need to be well documented and given to me so that I can protect my kiln from something melting at a different rate, and all that good stuff. So what happens if you fire to the wrong temperature? If you fire too high, your clay runs the risk of literally melting, but usually it will get these big, ugly bulges and blisters that happen because it's been basically burnt, and it's usually no longer functional. So if you underfire a piece, that means it has not fully reached its full ceramic potential. So it might still be porous and therefore absorbing stuff out of your food and water that you drink out of it, and it could make for some bacteria in there, and you don't want that either. So remember, if you're looking for clay, remember that it's supposed to be so fun. There are so many different colors and textures of clay to use. When you're looking for a wheel throwing body, look in the description. It's going to talk about its plasticity, and if it's really plastic, that means it's going to be awesome to throw on the wheel. The most common and most accessible type of kiln is going to be an electric kiln, and most people are firing to a mid-range temperature. And have fun. Don't rush through the testing process. It's really important that you understand the shrinkage of each clay body. They're all different. We'll talk about ways to test that. The world is your oyster. You have so much opportunity. Let me know if this helps. Please like and subscribe to this video. I can't wait to share more of what I know, more of what I've learned from 7 years of owning a pottery business. I really hope to see you at the wheel soon. Thanks.